I tried a new theater for this one. It was a very pleasant ride over. Very, very nice neighborhood. They had like a little shopping center there. And this was actually a big theater. I don't know how they fit it in the back of that place. I mean, it's kind of tucked in there. You gotta get there via elevator. It isn't like a main entrance or anything. Very nice theater. Even offered me a blanket. It seemed a bit short-staffed, but very friendly people. And, I mean, my theater was all the way in the back, but no, this was one of those fancy places. They had the riffraff separated down there, closer to the screen. I mean, well, up here, we have the nice reclining seats, even a little table with a very dim light, so you could actually find your drink in the dark. And yeah, and then then the lights dimmed and the movie actually played. This episode of Hunter Reviews is brought to you by Ground News. Stick around afterward for a news source that gets you down to earth. Because ground... okay. Hello, my name is Hunter, the movie reviewing horse, because when it comes to cinema, humans cannot be trusted. And neither can the slimy, festering piece of sludge that is Randy Pitchford. I've got a bone to pick today. Borderlands. What can I say about Borderlands? It's got a cool cel-shaded art style, a really annoying little robot dude, randomly generated guns, including one that screams at you. Crazy people whose whole deal is they want to get shot in the face.
Do it! Shoot me in the face! Face, 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 face! Now! Bullets in the face! Want them! Need them! Gimme, gimme, gimme!
Voice actors who just want to be paid fairly, and all of a sudden the studio can't afford to pay them, and so the CEO fires your ass, and then in his limitless immaturity crams jokes like this into the actual game.
Minion, I have no idea how this happened, but the value of Becco wafers has completely crashed. They're worth nothing! Nothing! I guess I'll have to go beg Lilith for my old job back. Oh, Lilith, mighty ruler of the Crimson Raiders, I beseech you to please, please let me have my old job back. I'm sorry I abandoned you in your time of need.
Okay.
Thank you, your mercifulness. Thank you.
Sure.
As atonement for my hurtful actions, I now offer you, 7 quintillion Becco wafers.
Okay. Are we done here?
No, thank you.
This is pathetic. Terrible CEOs aside for a second, the first two Borderlands are actually pretty good games. In fact, I'd argue that the franchise peaked at Borderlands 2. They wrote this game forever. It had everything, an unlimited number of guns, an actually compelling villain that, from a skewed perspective, could be seen as the good guy. Better storytelling than the first game, better DLCs, including one that was so good it got its own dedicated spin-off game, as well as the insane ability for me to never be able to play through it with friends because they all hate it. Probably has something to do with Randy Pitchford. Randy Pitchford is the CEO of Gearbox, the guys who make the games. This guy's a real fucking piece of work. More known nowadays for his various crimes and somehow being able to wriggle out of all of them. This includes the aforementioned voice actor controversy and leaving a flash drive containing Gearbox information and child pornography at a medieval times restaurant. What? Why am I telling you this? Because he's executive producer on today's movie. And with a rap sheet like that, doesn't that just get you so excited? for me to rip into this pile of garbage. I will fully admit that Rotten Tomatoes is not the best source for review consensus. But when your scoreboard looks like this, you might have a problem. And when your trailer like to dislike ratio looks like this, yeah, you definitely have a problem. And when you're dropping the reveal for Borderlands 4 after this colossal flop, Randy, you need to replace the captain of your brain ship because he's drunk at the wheel. Oh no, but he didn't listen, and now he's screaming about how poorly this movie is doing online. He is so catastrophically mad about how poorly this movie has done, to which I can only say, cope, seethe, mauled, you're balding, L, ratio, touch grass, cry about it, grow a dick, grow some balls. I hate you. Right off the bat, we had some problems with this. First and foremost, casting. The casting is bad. Kate Blanchett is 55 years old. She's got the face wrinkles going on. She's way too old to be playing Lilith. Like what? Is it Lilith in like her 20s in the games? Kevin Hart is here playing Roland, and no. Roland was always the straight-laced, serious guy in the games. Why the hell do we have a comedian playing him? Be like having Chris Pratt play an Italian plumber. Oh, wait. Speaking of movies that have been utterly miscast, Jack Black is in this, and he is the voice of Claptrap. Except I don't think he is, because it doesn't sound anything like Jack Black, it just sounds like Claptrap. So what's the fucking point of having it be Jack Black? If it's one nice thing I say about the Mario movie is that they took Jack Black and utilized him to his full potential. In this movie, he's just the voice of Claptrap, but it sounds nothing like him. So who gives a crap? At this point, you could have just, I don't know, just use the actual voice of Claptrap! Your casting is bad. Your casting is bad, and you should feel bad. Unfortunately, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Turns out the screenplay was so bad that Craig Mazin wanted his name removed from the credits. There had to be 2 weeks worth of reshoots. A bunch of edits and scenes had to be pulled out to bring it down to a PG-13 rating. Oh yeah, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? And Randy Pitchford is out here begging people to see the movie due to its terrible box office performance. I am dead serious. Fuck this guy. Deep-seated hatred for Randy Pitchford aside, and its cataclysmic performance at the box office, though, how's the movie? It's god-awful. Folks, it's the worst movie I've seen this year. Yeah, okay, that's not fair. It's not the worst movie I've seen this year. I saw Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate. I mean, come on.
How do I stop 4 villains at once? Shoot them with the dehydration gun!
You get where I'm coming from, though. Like, this is bad. Let's meet halfway here and say this is the worst real movie I've seen this year. Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate wasn't a real movie. By real movie, I mean real actors in the movie. A real budget, not just 3 jelly beans and a half-eaten candy bar as the budget. No, this had like over $100 million put towards it. We don't actually have exact budgetary figures for this movie. It's somewhere between 110 and 120 million. They've been surprisingly hesitant to give us actual figures because turns out this is the biggest bomb at the box office this year so far. That's just great. Great. Thanks, Randy Pitchford. There was a brief period between the Fallout show and now where video game adaptations were actually good again, and now we're back to this slop. This is definitely on the side of the Halo show, and I am not sorry. And normally, if this was a normal Hunter Reviews episode, I'd be telling you to avoid this movie like the plague. If it was actually still in the fucking theater, this movie's theatrical run is already over. Yeah, you can buy it online now. I'm looking at it right now. $19.99 to rent. $25 to buy it. And that is not worth it. That is a fucking scam. I paid less than that to see this in the theater. And they gave me a recliner, a little table, and a fucking blanket. What does this film give me? The most boring video game adaptation of the year. And that actually is the next point about this movie, because for a Borderlands movie, it's boring. It's boring. Whoever wrote this clearly did not understand the games. There's a bit where they're actually trying to stealth through an area. Stealth in a Borderlands movie. You did not understand the assignment, did you? One critic claims that they did actually fall asleep during the screening of the film. Borderlands? More like Snorderlands. I think Yahtzee actually made that joke a while back. It's a surprisingly boring movie. It's done very, very odd. Clearly several scenes were removed, and there is no blood in this movie whatsoever. Which is very strange because everybody is getting shot. Every bullet we fire doesn't have any impact or, like, any indication that we have, in fact, hit somebody. They just kind of have to be like, whoa, you got me, with no blood coming out of them whatsoever. And it's just weird. There's one part of the movie where Lilith comes up with a flamethrower, and it's like, is this doing anything? It's a very non-violent violence movie. I don't know why they felt the need to bring this down to a PG-13 rating. Borderlands, the game, is rated M. That's like the R rating of video games. And as we can clearly see, it didn't help them at the box office either. There's a lot of really bad and weird creative decisions that went into this that just make it not a fun time. Costuming, for example. The costume design is terrible. I don't know how you got it this wrong, but when random-ass cosplayers are doing 500 times better than you might want to reevaluate. The only costume design that comes even remotely close is Krieg, and even then, he's not even supposed to be in this game. Also, he's supposed to have this, like, split personality going on, which is not happening at all in this movie. And actually, there's a lot of wasted opportunity with a lot of these characters. You could have dug into that split personality thing. It would have actually, given Krieg depth as a character, instead of, him just kind of being there for pretty much the entire movie. That's the thing about Krieg, actually, is he is pretty much just there. Like, they could have killed him, and we wouldn't have cared. Obviously, the people who actually played the game would have cared, but let's face it, half the people on this movie probably didn't play the game. We don't get any backstory on Roland either, which is a shame because Roland is also an extremely great character. We get backstory on Tannis, but it's like one scene of backstory, and then it's like, okay, you're good, you have all the backstory now. Lilith, this whole movie seems to be about Lilith, but there's clearly some scenes that are missing. There's one part of this movie where she goes off on her own, and then suddenly she comes back and she's like, oh, by the way, I have awesome powers now. What did you get up to off camera? This movie has all these characters, but we don't focus on any of them enough to care. Marcus is in this movie, the gun guy. He's driving a bus. And then we barely see him ever again. Who's this scary-looking bandit guy? He just kind of shows up. He's He's supposed to be this big, mean, bad guy. But I don't know who the fuck he is. This movie's only 100 minutes long. What the fuck are we doing? There is so much wasted potential in this movie for character development, gags, funny jokes, callbacks to the games. Like, example, you remember that shoot me in the face guy? You could have just had a scene that was like, quick, shoot me in the face. It would have been random. It would have been stupid. But Borderlands is random and stupid. It would have been funny. Dig deeper. Use the games that you've already established. Have a post-credit scene where Tiny Tina is playing bunkers and badasses with miniatures of the characters from Borderlands 2. That would have been amazing. Movie's only rated PG-13. You can say badass. And I know what the next argument is, but Hunter, isn't it high octane enough that we could just turn our brain off and have a decent action movie? No, it's not, because this movie spends too much time actually doing nothing. And there isn't a single drop of blood from all the gunfire in this movie, so we spend most of those high-speed battle sequences wondering, wait, did they get shot? Are they hitting them? Are we doing good? I don't know. Let's put explosions in this movie, and people will forget about this, but the explosions are too damn loud. Like, they are catastrophically louder than the gunfire in this movie. Every time one went off, I had to brace myself because, oh, God. They did not balance that out. I guess what I'm saying is the sound design is terrible. Almost as bad as the story in this movie. It's this weird retelling of stuff that happened in the first Borderlands. But the problem with that is Borderlands 1 never really had a great story. Storytelling and compelling characters never really came in until Borderlands 2. Now, what's weird and bizarre about all of it is that they decided to just make it worse. We're still looking for the vault in this movie, but in the game, when they opened the vault, everything went crazy and all the iridium came out and made everything all blown to smithereens. In this, we have no idea what the fuck this vault is supposed to actually be. There was no final boss in there, there was no iridium, there was no MacGuffins, no plot hooks for a sequel, nothing. As far as I can tell, it's just like bleh. It's a bleh. They get into the vault and it's full of shapes, cubes, lights, a tentacle monster that kills the big bad. Are we going to learn what that tentacle monster is? No! We leave immediately after that! We don't have time to explore, and figure anything out, or get some plot points or sequel hooks. We gotta go straight to the celebration scene where now we're celebrating peace. Even though I don't think we ever established that we were at war with anybody. Seriously, what was up with that? This story is bad. It's bad and you should feel bad, and the problem is I don't think Randy Pitchford feels bad. I think he feels angry because people aren't seeing his movie. I mean, maybe if you put my main girl Gage in the movie, I would have had a different opinion. But no, we got Krieg. And that's an interesting thing too. Like, there's a lot of characters we could have put in this movie. We got Lilith, she's like the main character. We have to have Lilith. Roland, everybody likes Roland. But why didn't we have Brick? Everybody loves Brick. Or Mordecai. Gage, I can understand. Like, yeah, she's my main. I love her, but she's a DLC character for the sequel. But so was Krieg. So what's up with that? You got our three main people who you need, and you got Krieg, but none of the fun ones. Krieg is fun in the game, but he's not fun here. Nobody is fun here. This is not a fun movie. It's a boring movie. Borderlands, more like Bored-erlands. And actually, I think Yahtzee made that joke too. What'll you do, sue me? Between the bad characters, the bad casting, and this terrible story, oh my god. I swear to God. Handsome Jack telling that story about the guy with the spoon was a more compelling story than what's going on in this movie.
This jackal rushes me with a spoon. A freaking spoon, and I'm dying laughing, right? So I scoop out his stupid little eyeballs with it, and his kids are all, wah!
I think the lesson here is Randy Pitchford should stick to video games because there is nothing good about this movie. I mean, the special effects budget got put to good use, I guess, when they feel like putting in special effects. Seriously, there is no blood in this movie. The set design is okay. I mean, Borderlands takes place in a desert, so it's kind of hard to mess that up. Plenty of desert scenery as we run around looking for our 3 magic MacGuffins to open the magic MacGuffin vault. But boy howdy, do deserts get boring after a while. Borderlands 2 got past this problem with new DLC locations, and Borderlands 3 straight up gave you new planets. We kinda get that in this movie, but only really at the beginning. And when we go to Pandora, we stay on Pandora and never leave. Pandora's a great setting for a video game, but when it comes to movies, it's another goddamn desert planet. And if you've been around this show long enough, you know how I feel about desert planets. Critics have not been kind to this movie. 4s and 5s and low scores across the board. But I have actually played these games and was immensely disappointed by the movie. So I'm giving it a 3.5. And a spit in the face to Randy Pitchford. I hate you, Randy. I've hated you for a while now, and now I hate your movie. And I'm gonna hate your movie forever. Borderlands, especially Borderlands 2, is a gold mine of jokes and gags that you could have put into this movie. And even if the story isn't tremendous in Borderlands 1, you still could have done a lot better. And I know the Borderlands franchise isn't tremendously relevant anymore, but still, this movie didn't help. And now we got Borderlands 4 coming in at the low point of the franchise. And that is saying something. Pre-sequel wasn't actually that good, and Borderlands 3 kind of had to stumble out the door in the aftermath of the Randy Pitchford controversies. This is worse. This is a lot worse. It's a gigantic pile of wasted opportunity, action scenes that don't have any blood, and annoying characters who are older than they probably should be, or miscast. I'm dead serious. The casting in this was terrible. I didn't even mention the scene where they had to leave Roland behind and everybody thought he was dead, and then there's a scene immediately after that where it's like, oh, by the way, he's alive. And he has no idea how to climb the elevator shaft, even though that's definitely a ladder right there. But yeah, we're deep in the Halo side of video game adaptations with this one. And I will never stop loving that analogy because they said there was going to be a Halo movie for years, and then the show was terrible. And I just think that's very, very funny. Don't see this movie. It's no longer in theaters. You have to buy it. Don't buy it. It's $20 to rent, $25 to buy, and that is an absolute scam. They're clearly trying to recoup their losses from their disastrous box office release, and I'll be honest, I don't think it's gonna work, like, at all. It'll go down in history as one of the worst video game adaptations and one of the biggest box office bombs in history. And so Randy Pitchford is doomed to walk the desolate halls of his video game company. A doomed husk of a man. Do not cry for him. Because I certainly won't. My name is Hunter, and this has been a Hunter Review. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the latest episode of Hunter Reviews. I actually pushed this one back a little bit because I was not expecting them to release this digitally so quickly, which allowed me to add a bunch of actual scenes from the movie, which I love doing that, so that's a win for me. And a win for everybody. Another win for everybody is our awesome new sponsor, Ground News. If you've been around this channel long enough, you know that I don't take sponsorships unless I really, really like what the sponsor is trying to sell you guys, and this is one of them. Ground News is a news site that allows you to see every side of every news story. Is it left-leaning, right-leaning, neither, both? Every article on this site has this handy little meter that tells you which way the news is going. Not only that, you get multiple perspectives. You get to see through media bias with reliable news from local and international sources. Not only that, another thing I really like about Ground News is that their articles get right to the point, as opposed to those articles from other sources where you have to read through 4 paragraphs to actually get to the point. All those other news sources give you 5 paragraphs worth of backstory before you actually get to read the actual current news. Not here. If you guys want to check out Ground News, you can hit up the QR code on your screen now or the link down below in the description for our affiliate link, which will give you 15% off a new subscription. I'd like to extend a great big thank you to Ground News for helping out the channel, because every time one of you guys signs up, it helps the channel directly. And we could use that money to make our extremely overdue Fred 3 review. It's on its way! It's on its way! Once more, great big thank you to Ground News for sponsoring the channel, and thank you guys so much for watching. Here's some credits, and we'll see you guys next time.